Pep schools Jose, Wolves are unlucky at the Emirates, and Newcastle are in our featured games of the week. This is the Top Bins Premier League review. I'm Mike, he's Dave, and this is the Top Bins Premier League review. Might look like we're in a little bit of different surroundings. I'm in Top Bins secret headquarters at the moment. We're just doing a little bit of testing for some future episodes. There's some good stuff coming your way over Christmas. So
some exciting times ahead.
Keep them peeled, lads, all right? Just keep them peeled. But let's get straight into the action. Great weekend of football. Davey, where else can we start other than the Etihad? City United, game of the weekend in terms of attractiveness on the fixture list. Pretty much went how we thought it would go, though, didn't it?
Well, it did. United definitely set up to defend, and that was pretty quickly undone. What was it, 24 minutes? I think the bus mentality was gone. And they looked a lot better when they actually tried to attack City and cause City a few problems.
Yeah. I think City just showed, again, just even when the expectations on them to beat teams, it's not easy to, in a Manchester derby, big game, pivotal points of the season where you don't want to be dropping points because your title rivals aren't dropping points either. It's really important to go into those games and do the business that people expect you to do. And City are doing that and look quality for it. I mean, they could have put a lot more past United in this game, and they were far the superior team in this game. I thought David Silva had a wonderful game. Bernardo Silva, every time he plays, that lad doesn't start week in, week out. Absolute top draw player he is.
I agree completely, and I mean Sterling played very well as well. A little bit wasteful at times, but his piss taking at the end was just fabulous. But I guess we got to talk about it. We've got to talk about the goal, don't we? We've got to talk about 44 passes. We've talked about things you can do in a Paul Pogba run up, but let's talk about what you could do in a 44 pass build up to a goal.
Now, Dave, where are you sitting on this side of the debate about this goal? Because it was wonderful goal, but is this pure football from Man City, or is it horrifically poor defending from United? Where are you sitting on that debate?
I won't sit on the fence on that one. I mean, you watch it back, and United, one player, one time attacks the ball in 44 passes. One player, and that player is their forward, Lukaku. I mean, that's appalling, absolutely appalling, and just no herring.
It all stemmed from his poor mistake as well, didn't it?
That's right. I mean, he created the chance, but, kind of feels harsh to blame him. 44 passes go by after that mistake before the goal. But, I mean, I guess he gave possession away, but some of the midfield was just shocking. I mean, the defence was bad, but the midfielders weren't pressing at all. They were just watching.
Poor. Look, City were great for it. I thought Aguero looked really sharp, really hungry.
Great haircut.
Lovely blonde hairdo, mate. I'm a bit jealous of that, to be honest. I thought, like you said, Sterling, decent. End product wasn't quite there, but very pivotal in the game still. His what I'm most impressed about him in the last couple of seasons is his ability to get into those awkward positions that defenders find really hard to cover and mark up, and he does a really good job of that. United got back into it, had a shout with a penalty. No stupid run-ups because Pogba was up in the stands and Martial buried the pen. But really, United didn't have a sniff, did they?
No, I mean, it flatters them, really, doesn't it? I mean, I think City completely played them off the park. The question you've got to ask now is if you're Kevin De Bruyne, sitting there watching the two Silvers just playing beautifully, Sterling playing beautifully, Leroy coming in playing well. You got to sit there and go...
Leroy Sané's another lad who's got immaculate hair as well.
He is.
Superb.
Only when it's in the Afro form. When he puts it in cornrows, I'm not a fan. I didn't even recognise him. But, you've got to wonder how De Bruyne is going to fit back into that team because they have really moved and they've been beautiful without him. He's going to get back in, but he's going to have a lot of pressure to perform straight away.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I don't think there's a decision in Pep's mind. He's going to bring him back into the first team straight away once he's fully fit. But he's got pressure on him now because he knows the lads who are waiting on the bench are playing out of their skin as well and doing the business, and Pep can rely on them as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens once he's fully fit and back. Anyway, look, not a shock result there. City did the business. United are gonna be reeling from that, and the Manchester's definitely blue this weekend, or for this part of the season anyway. Let's move on to the next game for me, which was one of the better games of the weekend. We kind of called it in the preview. We didn't call the result, but we definitely knew that they were going to be about it, and that was Wolves at Arsenal, and they did a job, didn't they?
I think about it is almost not fair. They were fabulous and deserved all 3
Should have got a
points.
win, eh?
But some great goalkeeping near the end, especially. And Traore was clear a couple of times, and it showed what we've said all season about that Arsenal defence. Holy cow, they were so slow. Holding was so slow. And Traore's got great pace, but when you got 10 yards ahead of him, you should never be letting that guy win.
The Premier top 5, top 16 Premier League defender. He is absolutely stealing a living, that lad.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like Alexis Sanchez level of stealing a living. I agree. But Wolves, I mean, hats off to Wolves. They've had a couple of hard weeks,
They have.
and they really turned up. And we question whether or not the result last week would hurt them. But if anything, it seemed to fire them up. I mean, I gutted for them. They were good for 3 points there.
They absolutely. What I liked about it is they flew out the blocks. They absolutely went at Arsenal from the get-go. Nuno obviously had his players absolutely fired up for that game. Whatever he said to them before the game, they were fizzing. Every single player to a man was playing for the shirt, playing for Nuno. They looked dangerous. They created a lot. I tell you, I'm really impressed by that Raul Jimenez. I think he's a really good striker. He's not getting enough goals for me, but what he does is he links play really, really well, and he's doing a great job for Wolves, bringing in players like Caballero, like the other lads who have been doing the business, and Neves and the other boys doing the business in that team. Costa, they're all playing well, but it's coming through Jimenez being a great target man, a great hold up man, bringing the ball in close, making sure it sticks, and then laying it off to the right players at the right time. They look very good. They've got all the ingredients to have a really good season still. Yeah, they've had a little blip in the last couple of games, but this definitely put them back on track. And you're right. I think the man of the match in that game was Bernd Leno. To be honest, he was phenomenal. He made 4 or 5 absolutely game-saving saves for Arsenal in that game.
And the one time, other than the goal, he was beaten. He was helped with the crossbar. I mean, that was so cruel for the young guy to come on right at the end. And what an absolute belter of a shot. So unfortunate, and just sort of summed it up really for me. Is I thought Wolves had stolen it, and I couldn't believe when it bounced out. Felt really sorry for them, but awesome to see them play so well at the Emirates against an Arsenal team that have been in form. But speaking of that, the Lacazette and Aubameyang really disappointing in this game.
Aubameyang missed the sitter, didn't he? Hits the post, but he's got to bury that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's poor. I tell you what, one of the most frightening moments of that game was when Wolves towards the end knocked a long ball over the top, and Adama Traore made Holding look like he was running backwards. He was absolutely flying past him, that lad. Incredible pace he's got.
And for a guy who's that built, I mean, he's not. He must weigh a bit. I don't know what he weighs, but it's less than me. No disrespect.
He's like a freak with a Formula One engine in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And good on him. And just gutted they didn't win it.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on to, I reckon, probably the shock result of the weekend, to be honest. And this is probably one of the only times you're going to say, oh, no, actually, against United the other week they got in there as well. But Newcastle aren't going to get into our featured games too often this season. No. But you know what? Hats off to the Rafa's boys. Got the 3 points against an informed Bournemouth team who are very hard to beat, and they did well, didn't they?
They did, and I mean, Bournemouth, thanks for the money for Jordan Ibe, because you really showed why that guy didn't make it at Liverpool. He had a couple of clear-cut chances that he didn't even get close to the keeper.
That's right.
He should have won them the game, and as it was, just appalling.
I mean, look, Bournemouth had chances, and I was impressed by Brooks again in the middle. I think he looks like a real quality signing. I'm hopeful that he continues on his form, keeps playing, keeps getting game time, because he looks like an excellent prospect for the future. I thought Callum Wilson could have been better than he was. I don't think he was as sharp as we normally see him, but got to say, my man Shearer was having wet dreams over it, but my man Solomon Rondon barely scores, barely does anything. But then he pops up with 2, and that second header, oof.
Oh, and he just wanted it, didn't he? I mean, I question often his desire. Often he looks like he's not really trying, but boy, he was trying to score that, and he was worth it. And look, I thought they set up to play all right. They didn't play negative football. They played pretty good. They tried to play some good attacking football. Um, and Eddie Howe himself admitted, like, the crowd got into it, and once they let the crowd in, it was very difficult to get back.
Right.
Also, we talk about kits quite a bit on the show, and I just want to add a tick to the spew bucket for the Bournemouth kit. It was absolutely putrid.
Put that with Spuds' away kit and their third kit, and you're laughing with those two.
Shocking.
But just back to Rondon's second goal. Seeing a goal like that, it's almost as satisfying as pleasing on the eye as seeing a 30-yard volley, going the top corner. Seeing a centre forward, a proper centre forward, screaming towards the penalty spot to nod in and bullet header, top corner. Love it. Love seeing that. That's quality. That's what we like to see from Rondon. Hopefully he can continue it. Rafa got the 3 points. I'm happy for him. He's doing a stellar job with an absolutely woeful budget and squad, I think, because they're really lacking in a lot of areas. But look, 2 wins on the trot now for Newcastle. They'll be absolutely fizzing and probably a bit gutted that the international breaks here, just like the rest of us.
That's right, and eases a bit of pressure on Rafa as well, which is lovely because, like you say, I think he's got one of the most limited sets of tools to work with in the Premier League in terms of money and the club itself. And I think, good on him, doing well.
Right, let's talk about one of the games with probably the most talking points in it. Our mates, Hughes' mates at Southampton, Charlie Austin had an absolute rant after the game. I loved it. I love seeing that. I love Charlie Austin because of what he did at QPR. I love seeing that passion from a footballer.
It was great to see.
Whoever did that Park Life remix of Charlie Austin over Park Life is a fucking genius.
That is brilliant. We'll try and chuck that in the links below. That is well worth a watch if you haven't seen it.
Absolute gold, that is. But talk to me about the talking points in that game, Dave. So we got a disallowed goal. We got a Watford pen that weren't given. Talk to me about those two.
The Watford pen's a clear penalty. Bertrand's off. He's on a yellow when he does that. There's not a piece of the ball he takes for that. That's as clear a pen as I've seen this season so far. I was absolutely shocked when it didn't get given. And I mean, that changes the game. So
the ref has a great view of it. He's just got to give it. It's such an obvious pen. He's just got to give it.
I don't know how he thought Bertrand touched the ball. He wasn't even close to it. So, I mean, and Watford were clearly shaken from that. But I guess, we've got to talk. The real bad injustice is certainly Austin's goal. I mean, the referee confirming after the game that they thought it had hit Yoshida. I mean, it was 2 yards away from him. He backed right off it. Just not even close to him. I couldn't believe that call.
It's such a bad call. And the thing is, Charlie Austin's come out after the game and he's doing that. You got to think that he's doing that because he really needs that goal as well. I tell you what, he's struggling for form this season. He's struggling for game time. He needed that goal to get him going. And when you see that nestling in the back of the net and then you see the ref not give it for offside, you've got to be fuming. I can understand why he's fuming, but at the same time, he's got to consider that the Watford should have had a pen and that would have changed the game as well. 10 men. 1-1 at that point, it would have made it a big difference to the game. And so, look, there was injustices for Southampton. The luck's not going their way. They need it at the moment because they're struggling big time. But also, Watford didn't get the rub of the green with that pen as well. So
did right. And I mean, the goalmouth scramble which Southampton scored from. I mean, great little, good desire from Ings there to jump in and take the ball from Pereira. But how many times did he have a chance to get red in the box and he was like juggling it to himself? I couldn't believe it. Like, shocking. And
some of those Watford players like we talked about in previous episodes, Dave, like Pereira, just not turning up in some of these games, are they? Some of the games they should be winning, they're not turning up.
And was it 390 some days since Gabbiadini had last scored? I think at all might have just been at St Mary's, but either way, shocking.
I believe
he needed that.
He's got the second most goals for a person with a surname Gabbiadini in the Premier League.
Oh, that's not bad. You did see last little piece on that. They did cut to the owner and the director of football in the crowd during this,
Yeah.
and apparently a full-scale investigation into footballing matters has
Full
been
scale.
launched.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that really is just. Are we going to fire Mark Hughes? And I hope for Southampton. Yeah, you got a little bit unlucky this week, but the game was awful. Southampton were awful. He's got to go.
Get rid. You've got to turn your season around. It's time to get rid of him. He's useless. He's an horrible man. Get rid of him.
Horrible man. He's hurt you so bad, and I know. I think when Mike goes home for Christmas, Mark Hughes has got a cross on his back. He better look out.
If he's still in the job, I'll go to a Southampton game. All right, let's move over to Cardiff. They will be buzzing with that result against Brighton. A good Brighton team, solid Brighton team. Absolutely buzzing to get a 2-1 win. What a result for them.
It was. Sol Bamba just loves to be involved, doesn't he? I mean, he's involved for all the wrong reasons at one end, and then he's got no right to be attempting an overhead kick. I'm sorry, it's like watching a sumo wrestler try an overhead kick. But to hit the post and then to back it up, I mean, hats off to him. Good on him. But Brighton, we both have said a lot of times Chris Hughton's no mug. He's a good manager. He's a smart manager. But they just didn't seem to be. I don't know whether it was the weather or the tactics, but they weren't set up and they didn't really look at the races in this game. And the red cards certainly didn't help.
You almost feel like Brighton are a team that need to have their backs against the wall against a team that they're not already fancied to really play their style of football and for it to be effective. In a game like this, you just felt like they should be the aggressors and they weren't really. And Cardiff kind of took advantage of that. The red card, Dale Stephens, definite red, wasn't it?
Oh, it was an ugly tackle, very ugly tackle.
Yeah, horrible tackle. Look. 3 points, Neil Warnock will be buzzing. The English Pep Guardiola will be buzzing.
He was jumping up and down like a crazy old pensioner, wasn't he? And
when Bamba scored, he was all over the shot, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. And I mean, hats off. They deserved it. Etheridge pulled out a hell of a save against Ezequiel.
Top save.
Really, like a strong arm to that. You know, we're talking these kind of margins, and that's what he's done brilliantly. He'd probably look at himself a bit for the Brighton goal, to be honest. It wasn't his best moment, but boy, he made up for it when it counted, and they took all three.
And look, I gave him a little mention in the preview. Patterson, he's on decent form, that lad. I tell you what, he's quietly collecting goals over there. Just the goal scorer that they might be missing, the goal scorer they might have needed at the start of the season.
And celebration-wise, I mean, that's right up there. I mean, people talk about the fortnight celebration. That was just a beautiful little... Lovely. Love it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to your boys, Dave. We thought it was going to be a cricket score. It weren't quite a cricket score. It was comfortable-ish in the end, but Fulham had their moments.
They did, and most notably the moment right before the first goal for Liverpool.
It was end-to-end in 30 seconds, wasn't it?
I'm going to get ridicules here from a certain @Docs, I'm sure, but I don't think he was offside, Metro. I think that's right on the line, and for me, that's a goal.
His shoulders over the line, isn't it? His shoulders over the line, and you can score with your shoulder. That's the argument.
That's it.
It's rough, though, man.
I've seen two shots of it, and one of them it looks like he's just on, one it looks like he's just off, and I think that's the kind of margins we're talking about. It's just blink of an eye for the linesman. The argument that the ball hadn't stopped is rubbish for me. I've watched the replay a few times. I think Alisson did fabulously. He rolled it and he connected just as it stopped.
I'll tell you who did fabulously in that, mate. Virgil van Dijk telling Alisson to go quickly.
Go for it.
You see him pointing and saying, "Do it, go over there," and it gets the whole thing started. Off they go and they score.
And Trent and Salah were long gone. Like they were Trent's almost at halfway when he picks the ball up. Salah's right on the line. Trent doesn't mess around. Early ball. Salah finishing like we know he can. Great. But moment of the game and player of the game for me most certainly was the power cube. And I know you'll say he scores against the crap teams, and this is another example of that. But you cannot question that finish. That was beautiful.
Great finish. And just all I question, Dave, is would he have done that against Man City?
Oh, he would have scored 3 against Man City, mate. He's just pumping the brakes, mate. Pumping the brakes. But look, I thought that was a lovely finish. He had a lot of desire, obviously, not travelling in the Champions League because of the World Cup celebration and the tensions being an ethnic Albanian, and well, he got to miss a crap Liverpool performance with a 2-0 loss, but he really looked like full of desire, and I love seeing him like that. When he's on, he plays well.
Yeah, he does. Agreed. He did well, and he was very good in that game. I think as well, the other pivotal point in this game, just worth mentioning before we finish on this one, Ryan Sessegnon's got to bury that chance.
He's got to.
I mean, you're not going to get a better chance at Anfield than that, and you think he's in, he's got to score.
I agree, and I think Fulham. I like the goalkeeping change. I think Sergio Rico's looking pretty good. Certainly, they're looking better than Bernelli, but it's the same thing every week, mate. I don't even want to say it. You know what I'm going to say? You shuffle the deck. I'm just overwatching it, mate. I'm overwatching it, and he's another who's on borrowed time.
Yeah, I think they were actually a little bit better defensively against Liverpool this time round, but they were still so easily exposed at times. So I think that they had chances. They could have got a goal, and a goal might have made a difference if they'd gone 1-0 up rather than going 1-0 down. But having said that, I still think Liverpool were good for it, and the class kind of outshone what Fulham could muster in that game. So,
yeah, agreed. And you can hear the alarm going off behind me. That's the alarm bells that should be ringing in the Fulham headquarters right now.
Live feed from Jokanovic's house, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's there's probably the masked gunman coming in to take him away, but. Yeah, I think the Michael Jackson statue could probably be doing as good a job right now. And I do feel for him because you've got to show faith to the guy who brought you up. But at the same time, it's just not going well.
You've got to question a club that has a Michael Jackson statue outside their ground.
Well, I know that, and I don't want this to be in poor taste. I am being serious, not as a joke. But Leicester have commissioned a statue of their owner that's just passed. And I really hope that they've learnt from Fulham's mistake, because that is that's worse than the Ronaldo statue. It's just awful. Just do a good job. But do it properly.
Yeah. All right, let's move to London Derby. They didn't really have that much about it, to be honest. I watched this game, and could have been a lot better than it was. Crystal Palace and Tottenham. Palace were missing Zaha. He pulled out late before the game, felt his hammy. Tottenham again just grinding results out, aren't they?
They don't deserve that goal. You look at that replay, and there's 5 Crystal Palace players around that ball.
What Jordan are you doing in that for that goal? He just stood there looking at it for what seemed like 3 or 4 years. He just stood there and just watched it.
They were all waiting for it to come down to feet, and then you got one Tottenham kid who's had an absolute mare last week, showing the desire to get his head on it, and good on him. But look, I'll be honest, I actually thought Crystal Palace, to a certain extent, played pretty well this week. Atrocious conditions, which maybe even things up a little bit. Spurs just haven't clicked, and I say that about Liverpool, but Spurs is just slightly more alarming.
Well, Spurs just don't look like they're going to score more than a goal a game, really. They don't look like... Kane doesn't look a threat. He just really doesn't. Eric the Apple didn't have a great game in this one. Should have done better.
He had one good chance, but it was a tough one, to be fair.
Lucas Moura his form starting to kind of dwindle and peak off now after he started off really, really well. They've got good players, but their players seem fatigued. They don't seem kind of fully confident. And they're just not very fluid, Spurs, at the moment. Kieran Trippier picked up an injury, another big blow for them. I don't know if they're going to be able to wear these kind of injuries through the season.
Well, that's it. I think they look like a team that's at the back end of March, don't they, in terms of fitness and injuries, where the other teams just look a bit fresher. And it's the curse of having a good squad of international players. But I think it comes down to you haven't bought replacements, and these are the games where Shaqiri, he played at the World Cup, but he'll come in for a player, give someone a break. These guys getting a bit of breaks at Liverpool. It's exactly what I would have thought Tottenham were going to do, and it could cost them.
Yeah, but look, picking up the 3 points, we say it every week, but they're picking up the 3 points, so Poch will be happy for that at least.
He will.
All right, let's move over to the last 2 games, which weren't really full of goals at all, but we got Chelsea and Everton. One talking point for me in this game, Jorginho should have been sent off. How dare he touch our Lord and Saviour? Guilty. Just the fact that he fouled him should have been a red card, but he should be given a lifetime ban for what he did to him.
See, I'm going to disagree. I thought he should have been given fantasy point bonus for that. It was absolutely brilliant. No, look, all seriousness, yeah, that was pretty ugly, and it looks like Gylfi's injured from it, which could be a blessing. He won't play international football, which is a bummer. You know, Everton will probably not be that upset, but it depends on the extent of the injury. But yeah, poor tackle, and not something Jorginho's noted for, and that's why he really showed that. But odd game, wasn't it?
Odd game. Jordan Pickford was very good.
He was very good.
Showed those very muscular wrists again.
Yeah, he's not looking for a Cadbury sponsorship, that's for sure.
No, he's not. He's probably looking for a Pornhub sponsorship or something.
Oh, that's right. Whereas Joe Hart's looking forward to Easter.
Hey, but look, all right, let's move over because there wasn't much to talk about in the Chelsea game. Probably not much to talk about in the Leicester Burnley game either. But probably it was an emotional game, and the start of the game, obviously, there was a lot of tributes towards the Leicester chairman and those who died in that horrific accident a few weeks ago. You can understand why the game kind of lacked a bit of quality, and I think the Leicester players, the fans, will just be pleased now to kind of have that out of the way and try and move on from this now.
Yeah, I agree, and I think at the end of it, I think the better chances perhaps fell to Burnley, which was a surprise for me. I thought that they'd be pumped up to play the game at home, first game at home, but I think maybe the emotion of the occasion finally took its toll, and they just travelled to Thailand. You know, there's a lot of travel in there, but Chris Wood had a couple of great chances to win this game for Burnley, and really should have done a lot better.
He did, and look, Jamie Vardy again. He's just not clicking this season. Couple of chances, things you know. It's a tough combination when you're not scoring the goals, but you're also the rub of the green ain't going for you either. Yeah. He had one cleared off the line that any other day just flies into the back of the net because he's caught it so sweetly.
Oh, he hit it beautifully, didn't he? And I felt for him.
But again, that luck's not quite going for him at the moment, and that doesn't do a striker many favours when that's happening. So I hope he can pick up form, but Leicester needs some attacking threat, and hopefully they'll get Maddison back in no time.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I guess speaking of attacking quality and threat, I think we're going to the last game of the week here, which is...
sorry, I think so. There was 3, Dave.
That's all right. Huddersfield and West Ham. Now, this was actually, I'm going to say it, one of the better games of the weekend for me. Not because of all-out quality, but in terms of an even contest. It was a game that I was pretty compelled to watch.
Yeah, and look, again, I think Huddersfield, for me, I think they did enough, to be honest.
Yeah, you got to feel a little bit aggrieved. I mean, Mkhitaryan's goal is probably the flukiest goal of the weekend, and he certainly didn't mean that. But Felipe Anderson got extremely lucky there as well, and the questions are got to be asked about the clearing of the ball there. But I thought the Huddersfield goal was actually pretty well worked, and it was tidy. And you don't often see Fabianski with no hope of a save. But I've got to say, I did really feel for Huddersfield when that went in. Felipe Anderson looking like he scored a worldie, but he got pretty lucky.
But I'll tell you what, Dave. Huddersfield, if you told them a few weeks ago they were going to get 4 points out of 6 from Fulham and West Ham, I think they would have taken that all day, mate. I think they'll be very pleased with those 2 results.
That's right, and scoring an actual goal, not having an own goal go for them. Like they've got that monkey off their back now, and they have looked better the last couple of weeks. I'd really like to see them, stay up, but it is getting hard. It's getting very tight down the bottom of the table, isn't it?
It is, mate. Quick thoughts on West Ham while we're on them. Signing Samir Nasri. It's strange, isn't it?
Well, I mean, if we just want the reunion of Manchester City under Pellegrini, then it's a fabulous move. But yes, I don't know why you would be signing him on. What was it, 80,000 quid a week as well?
1,000 a week. So it seems like a thing that QPR would have done a few seasons ago. And
it's got Christopher Samba written all over it, doesn't it? But to be fair to QPR, I'd much rather be on that side of the equation than signing Nasri. Yeah, unbelievable move, really. I can't believe they're even bothering.
Yeah, it could go the other way. It could be a phenomenal signing if he's hungry and he wants to prove himself still, but I don't think he does. I think he's there for a payday, mate.
Well, he didn't look hungry at City, did he? I mean, if we're honest, I thought as soon as he got that transfer to City, he dropped a lot in quality, and he's going to have to. Well, they're going to need him to play very well, and it's going to be interesting to see if he's up for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, that's the Premier League review for you lot. I hope you like the new setup. Give us feedback. Tell us what you think about the weekend's action. Don't forget to give this video a like and hit subscribe. Spread the word about Top Bins. Hit our Facebook up, facebook.com/TopBinsFantasy. We've loved it. We hope you've loved it. We'll see you for the preview later on in the week. Cheers.
I say, walk like they talk like they know. Ookie, tookie.